Hello, everyone. Welcome to Two Dogs Digs on our Tuesday live hall pass. Hello, Doug. Doug just decided to visit me. Why? Because I'm finishing off a hot dog. Yes, a real dog. A real hot dog. He smells the cheese. Today, we're going to be talking about 25 years on eBay. Yes, literally. We launched ourselves, our first product, October 20th, 1996. It's been 25 years. So we're going to talk about the good of eBay, the bad of eBay, and the last week of eBay, as well as talk about some of our favorite things that we sold over the years and actually take a look at what we'd sell them for now if we actually got them, and a couple of other fun stories. So we will be right back. I get to bite one more piece of a hot dog, and here we go. "25 years on eBay," he says as he tries to quickly swallow his hot dog. Well, hello. So we're a little late getting ready and actually eating. And the reason is we took Doug for a walk today. Doug Dog, you know, our famous Doug Dog, who has now gained some more weight. And he was trimmed today. So we took Doug to the groomer and picked him up, and then he was not a happy puppy to be grooming today, so we picked him up, and then we realized what time it was. I was actually on an eBay call with eBay Canada, a Zoom call that we have once a month with eBay Canada from 5 until 6. Then we were talking, then we realized the time. We had to take Doug for the walk, and then one of our neighbors caught us in the middle of the walk and was chatting about some medical issues she had. So we were like, slow down. And I just kept trying to go, I gotta go. So we got back here, and Rick had to eat. Otherwise, you'll have Hangry Rick. And I can deal with Hangry Rick because we've been together 35 years this Christmas or this New Year's. But you don't want to deal with Hangry Rick. Uh-oh. You still hangry, or have you eaten something?
Oh, I'm going to nibble as we go.
Oh, hello, kids. How nice of you to nibble with other people while they're watching.
Well,
let me see if I can get myself...
it's either that or I will be an absolute biatch.
Well, welcome to 25 years.
Wasn't it 34?
You did 34 and 3/4 years with Rick. So thanks for everybody for joining us. We got like 20 people live here. So let me say hello to everyone who's joined us here, most of whom are probably part of our Kennel Club. And thank you very much for coming up on 1 year on our Kennel Club as well. Lisa and Nellie, thanks. Janet, Diane, Sherry, Kevin, which is Krav, Lighthouse, which is Linda, Heather, Mr. Carl, the lazy reseller, Becky, Diana, One Witch Lady, Elisa Boland, Mr. Greg P, Sherry. Hey, Sherry. Hope you got Peanut out the door for when you wanted to go to the bathroom. Claire, Dawn, and Catherine. Rick keeps Rick sugar up. I'm trying to, but you can't teach a. What are you eating? Don't eat on
banana bread.
Oh, the banana bread you made. Okay, the last of the banana bread you made. So today we thought we would chat.
I put too much baking soda in it, so Craig can't eat it.
Hey, yeah. It's one of those things that you say, "Hey, this is nice," and then you kind of go, "What's that lovely aftertaste?" And then normally what that means is that Rick would now say to me, "I'm never making banana bread again."
Oh, yeah. I'm never making it again. Actually, I will. Bananas that are ripe. So
we thought we'd talk today about, literally, because tomorrow is 25 years of us being on eBay. We are literally thought we would just review some of the stuff that we've been through over the 25 years. Some of you have been on eBay a long time. I saw Kevin said he'd been there 20 years. I know a few other people have been there in the 18, 20, 22, 24 mark. Sherry says we need new badges. For the annuals, you'll get a new badge at 1 year, actually.
We don't need no stinking badges. What's that from?
That's a Cheech and Chong movie.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's a really weird reference for you to make. So we thought we'd actually, Diana's been there 20 years this month too. So 21 for Sherry. Yes, he's never, well, no, actually He's never making it again until the next time. He has never made lasagna again from over almost 30 years ago when he made lasagna and forgot to drain it. And so when he brought it out to me, it was in a soup bowl with literally a soup with some noodles. And I said, "What's this?" And he goes, "It's my lasagna." And I went, "It's a little wet, don't you think?" And he just screamed at me. And he's literally never made lasagna again for me. 16 years for Janet, 23 for Greg, 10 for Claire, Becky, 99. Oh, I got to do math. 21 for Becky. So a long time for lots of us. And a lot of us have been through a bunch of different things. Rick was actually saying, right before we got onto eBay, what were we doing? And he actually found something which I thought was quite interesting. I'm going to pop him up here. So we were Barbie dealers, as we've told many of you before. So we actually dealt with vintage Barbie dolls. And in the middle of the 90s, so 92, 93, up until just the early 2000s, we actually sold Barbies. We held Barbie shows with Jane Kupka.
This is
we produced this. I can't even believe this thing he found.
From August 1995.
Holly's a newbie. And Lisa's been on eBay for 15 years, but first just listed her first item. Yeah, that doesn't count. Shopping doesn't count, and signing up doesn't count. But yeah, so that's what you found, Rick, is...
Yes, our actual binder full of newsletters. We used to charge money for these things, kids.
Yeah, we had a club that we did this for, and every single month. Now, I don't even remember, Rick, because this is going back to 95?
Yeah, this one is August 1995.
How did we build those things? That you did them?
I did them inside WordPerfect with an emulator that allowed us to do typesetting.
And is that how we got the pictures in too?
Yep.
And then we actually printed it off, and Rick would take it to his office and photocopy it after work.
actually, no. We printed them all off in color.
Oh, we went them all off in color? I thought
we went through so many ink cartridges when we were doing this.
No, you didn't miss any song today. No song today. I couldn't bother trying to do one today. But yeah, so that was actually the start. And at the same time,
look, Barbie Gone Bay, the Hudson's Bay Barbie.
That was the launch of the Hudson Bay Barbie doll. So
with an actual size Hudson Bay bag that was with the doll.
I should actually try and look at those things and see about turning them into some kind of video, because there's probably actually some good information there that I actually did. No, I have not seen the YouTube of the Asian girl who lives Barbie and dresses like Barbie. I've seen some people who try to want to be, but...
How about this for a fancy title? Pull My String by
I haven't looked at these in so long.
All right, I'll let you wander down memory lane.
I'm sorry, Sherry. I actually I looked at Pop Shop. We were going to do Pop Shop. We were scheduled for Sunday night. And I looked and found there was nobody scheduled on at 9 o'clock at night when we were supposed to be on. And I found that there were like 5 or 6 vendors on at like 4. So I just decided to pop on and join those vendors earlier. And let me just say that Sunday was not a success for us. We actually sold absolutely nothing. That's two Sundays in a row. I did that one all by myself too. Rick was asleep. I was working all myself. We had 2 Sundays in a row where we've been on for an hour and not sold a thing. So we're still trying to figure out what it is, how we're going to work that on Pop Shop. And I might talk a little bit about that a little later on, but we're still trying to figure out the best ways to do that. So, but as I said, when we started on this, we did that, and we were used to sell on a thing called rec.collecting.dolls. Is that right, Rick?
Yeah, they were Usenet news groups.
And we were trying to, if we had more time, we were going to try and find, I tried to search it and see if I could find it. I could not find it anywhere. Rick might try and find it right now on, I'll just do this on the lovely thing where let's all watch Rick chew. So I'm just going to take him off screen for a moment. So what we did was Rec Collecting Dolls was where we used to post things in there. So when like that Hudson Bay Barbie came out, we would buy it actually from the Bay. And I actually would post on there and find something that would be like a $30 doll at Hudson Bay. And I'd post it onto Rec Collecting Dolls for $150. and then I would sell it, and then I would go to the bay and buy it. That's literally sort of the early form of arbitrage. Before eBay came around, I actually used to do that with a company. Maple the Beanie Baby was another one that we sold like that as well. And we sold that into, I think some of that was on eBay and some of that was off eBay. But again, this is pre-Facebook even. So it's actually, yeah, there were AOL boards. We were on AOL boards as well for all of those things. But we joined in at that time. And Rick, you can give me the thumbs up when you think you're through chewing, and I'll add you back in because I'm not going to have you chewing on air. We decided to put stuff on eBay. Now, we've been putting ads in a magazine called Toy Shop. We tried to find a toy shop. I couldn't actually find that, but I will actually see right now if I can Google Toy Shop magazine. See if I can find an old image of Toy Shop magazine. This was Toy Shop. Oh my goodness. This was Toy Shop magazine from, I don't even know what year this was. This is actually, I got to make it bigger. This was Toy Shop magazine way back in the day. This is what we used to actually sell in. This magazine. And we'd send, as I think I've told people before on here, you'd have to plan anything you wanted to have in here and add to sell anything 6+ months in advance, because you had to take the pictures with your Kodak camera. No digital cameras, kids. Your Kodak camera. Get them developed in Black's cameras. Get those 4x6s or 5x7s, put them together, and send those down with a tight list of what you wanted your ad to be. Then they would take that and they would turn it into an ad, and it would come out at the newsstand 2 or 3 months after that. So you were sending stuff in May to come out in the November or December Toy Shop magazine to sell. So Nellie subscribed to Toy Shop way back then. Yes, I loved it. It was actually where I bought my first Barbie when with Rick. Rick was already, we were already going out living together at that point, but I bought my first Barbie doll there. Lisa says her best friend met her wife in a Melissa Etheridge chat room. That's it. That's just it. That's what chat rooms were all about. It was our version of kind of Instagram-y, Facebook-y kind of world that we're in right now. Hey, Nay, thanks for popping in.
Yeah, I remember using AOL groups from my account at the office and not realizing that there was a surcharge for every group that you joined. I got a bill for like $1,200 because I had joined so many groups. It took me 3 months to pay it off. I was only making like $1,000 a month at that point.
Yes, I remember when you were in debt too. So we went on eBay, and all we could figure is one of the first things we think we might have listed back in 1996 on October 20th, 1996. That's when we created our account, and we would have listed something that same day. We figure it was probably a Barbie doll. Like, we're guessing it was either a Barbie doll, a vintage Barbie doll, because that's what we were selling at that time. We were big. It was a metal television lunchbox. I had a pretty big collection of TV lunchboxes from the 60s and 70s, the tin ones. Or it might have been a G.I. Joe. Like, it's one of those three things was probably in the neighborhood.
Probably a Barbie based on what we were doing.
Yeah, we were guessing it was probably a Barbie. And we were selling them on there for a regular basis. I remember some of the things we sold in the very first year. I actually had my Jaws poster. So this was the poster I got in 1975. I had this folded up in a drawer. Rick remembers it traveled around with us.
Yeah.
And it was a poster, the fold out movie poster for the movie Jaws. And it was
didn't it have tape residue or pinholes at each corner?
It did. It actually, yes, it had I had gummy stuff that was actually stuck to it from
the blue gummy stuff.
The blue gummy stuff that you stuck on a wall. That's how I actually had stuck it to the wall. Let's see, I'm trying to get a good picture of one just to give you an example of what it was. This is actually the poster that I pretty well had when I was a kid. And it was this, I had this, so it was torn in corners. and there was blue guck stuck up. Mac tack. That is what it was called. You got it, Diana. That's what it was called. Was Mac tack. Sticky tack, Mac tack. Yep. And we put it up and thought, okay. I described it because at this point you couldn't have photos, right, Rick?
Yeah, no photos.
The original
all description.
Was all description,
and everything was an auction. It was
everything was an auction. Yep. So when yes, it was so many things that changed since then. So it was like
payment by check or money order in the mail.
Well, when you put the auction up, if you got a lot of bids, a little fire came up beside your item so that people knew this was a hot item, a really hot item for people to bid on. Mm-hmm. So we had this up with no picture. The description was like, and like a whole bloody, like full encyclopedia description of it. It was like I described every flaw every way you could. Mm-hmm. And we started the auction at, like, I thought, you know what, 1975. So even back then, I was doing that stupid little thing that I do with pricing, which is I price stuff in the year it was made as a sort of
that's a fun tactic. It's
a fun tactic. Again, so I priced it in 1975. And I remember in the week that it was up for auction, after about 3 days, we got bids that were up in the $50 $60 mark. And I was like looking at Rick going, yes, Doug, it was $50 or $60.
And it was all U.S. at that point.
And it was all U.S. funds at that time because there was no eBay Canada.
And, I'm going to take care of him. You can take him off screen.
And when we had this up, I said to Rick, there's got to be something wrong. And I went back and I re-looked at the description, like, and read it like, okay, yeah, I said every corner is torn. I said there's blue Mac tack there. I said there's a crease and a tear here. Then it hit like 90. And I panicked again. And when I panicked again, I went back to the thing. Did I miss something else? Like, is there something else that I missed? And I actually ended up selling for, I think we're trying to remember because it was 25 years ago. I think it was $125 to $150 for this. And I was blown away. And then, of course, the first thing I thought was, oh, the person's going to hate it when they got it. The person who bought it was actually somebody from London, England. Rick will remember it was somebody in London, England that bought it.
Yep.
And for $150. And they gave us one of our first probably 20 or 30 feedbacks. And it was a glowing 5-star review. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And there was a lot more email communication or like messaging.
Better than described.
So they were so happy with it. And I couldn't believe that I sold this. Now, if we'd kept that to today, here is that exact same item. It actually looks like it's in a little bit better shape than the one that we had. But this is exactly what it was. To see the folds, and you can see the little tears like right in the center here. That when these old movie posters folded over, they tore really easily. Like, look at that, right in the middle of the shark. Can't even get the picture to go there. Go up.
Conservator's nightmare.
Yeah. Little stains and things like that on it. And copyright 1975. Look what we would got for that if we'd sold it today. Now, again, it's 25 years later. It wouldn't necessarily get exactly what this is or anything like that. But again, it was just interesting to take a look at something. Huh?
We should check our bin of movie posters.
We do still have some movie posters downstairs, actually, too. But this again was one of my first things that was up there. So it was really interesting. Carl says that he still worries that people won't like what I said. No, that's a worry that we all have, I think, is that what we've got is, are we describing it right? And luckily, we're just very good with our descriptions. One of the things that we always say, and other people don't do this, but because we're from the Barbie and the doll and collecting era, arena, we do still describe everything with our version of very good, excellent, near mint to mint. So every item that we put out there, we describe as being, this is in very good to excellent shape. This is in near mint condition. We add little caveats to it that say, like, this is in near mint condition, looks like it's right off the shelf. This is in very good to excellent condition, has a small chip here, or looks like has had a little bit of wear. Things along those lines. And some people say, don't ever put in very good to excellent. Put other... No. We've always done that because it's been where we've been from a Barbie perspective. It may not work for you, but it does work for us. And we always, what I go is I downgrade if I was the person receiving this and I said, this is in this kind of shape. Like, for example, I'll give you an item right now. I'll show you this little thing that we talked about last week. It still hasn't been added, but you can see it's got the paint marks and everything on this. Paint rubs to the back. So I literally would list this in fair to very good shape. I'm not going to oversell it. And I bet you if somebody got this, they think that this is probably in, a lot of people would probably consider this to be in excellent shape because it's just a little bit of rubs. There's no breakage or anything like that. But that's the whole goal of it, is to list something, yeah, as Lisa said, under promise and over deliver. That's what we always end up saying. Okay, wait, I got to go back because I saw something that Greg put, and I only saw the back of it, so I'm not actually sure what he said before this. Because this is what I caught from Greg. Neighbor physically slapped out son for taking younger, who was trauma. I do not know what this is about. Greg, I'm not sure if you're in another, watching another YouTube show at the same time. Heather said she remembers selling a little spaghetti poodle that she paid $15 for and it sold for $115. And that hooked her on eBay. And I'm wondering, Heather, if Bob got hooked at the same time seeing what you saw. Because Rick was not hooked. Now that same poodle would sell for $15. That's very true. Don says, every time I see a notification I have new feedback, I get nervous until I read it. I'll tell you what. Rick is actually notorious for this. He will actually say to me, Craig, we got some feedback. And I immediately panic, Don. So I'm just like you. I immediately panic. And he goes, it was very good. I said, can you please do me the favor and start the conversation with, hey, Craig, hey, honey, we got some excellent feedback. Not just we got some feedback, because that just makes me go,
delivery. It's always flat. We got feedback.
We got feedback. We got feedback. Robot feedback. Oh. It drives me, and I can't get him to fix that. But I still panic every time. I got him doing about 20% of the time now. I got him saying, hey, honey, great feedback. Now let me tell you what it is.
Incremental.
Yeah. Bob, for sure, he loved eBay because we no longer had to do antique shows. Yeah, that was actually one of the things, too. Still don't know. Yeah, you may end up having to do more than that because usually feedback is in the neighborhood of 25 to 30% feedback. I don't know what feedback on Etsy is. Lisa, I think, I think it's I don't know, but on Etsy, we're about the same. We're only about 20% feedback on Etsy either. Claire says that her first sale was an art glass thing with a swimmer embedded, listed at $99, sold for $800, and yep, that's how Claire got hooked. So it's easy to get hooked on stuff like that. I'm going to show you something else. This was a few years later that we sold something, and this was just something that I'm going to let Rick tell you a little bit about. Why? Because I want to have a tiny little bite of my hot dog. So I'm going to let Rick talk to you about this thing.
What is it?
Huh? Oh, you'll see, Rick, and you know what it is. You'll know what it is.
Okay.
You reminded me about it, so I'm going to.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Okay, this is the Hello Dolly doll. And oddly enough, it's sold to a famous person. It sold to Liza Minnelli's big gay husband, David Guest. And he was thrilled. He gave us positive feedback. Yeah, that's about all I have to say about it. Craig, have you finished your hot dog yet? I guess not.
No.
I don't really have much more to say about the Hello Dolly doll. It went to New York City. It went to Mr. Guest's apartment. It is probably one of the ugliest Barbie dolls we've seen. I think that's actually our picture from the doll that we sold. Craig will have to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that that is our actual picture. I love the little choker. Yes, David Guest was gay. And I think he's dead now, so I wonder who inherited Miss Hello Dolly doll. Craig, I'm dying here.
He's dead now. That's really nice.
Yep. I'm very... Welcome to my show. He's dead. Bum, bum,
I'll
bum.
still chew it. You think you could come up with a little bit more about it? You could maybe talk about Carol Channing. You could maybe talk about I put my fist in there. Like there's so many things. Not my fist, sorry. There's a song in Hello Dolly, which is one of the rudest songs that we have ever listened to now in contemporary context. I don't know, Rick. Are you going to look the?
Oh no,
Rick,
I've actually got them on my
Rick
iPhone.
Rick has the actual words on his phone. So I now give you Rick Belanger reciting from Hello Dolly's
I put my hand in there.
I put my hand in there.
I have always been a woman who arranges things for the pleasure and the profit it derives. I've always been a woman who arranges things like furniture and daffodils and lives. When a man with a timid tongue meets a girl with a diffident air, why shouldn't the tortured creatures beat around the bush when heaven knows Mother Nature always needs a little push? So I put my hand in there, I put my hand in there, and a girl over 6'3" loves a man who comes up to her knee. Surely it's obvious she's never seduced till some kind soul condescends to give her beau a little boost. So I put my hand in there, I put my hand in there.
Okay, you're saying the thing is when you say it that way, you're rushing through it. It's like she's got this song and she's sitting there going, "When a girl needs a little push, I put my hand in there. I put my hand in there." And where's the other line in there?
There's a short dance interlude.
No, and then
I put my hand in there. I twist a little, stir a little, him a little, her a little, shape a little, mold a little. Some poor chap gets sold a little. When I use my fist a little, some young bride gets kissed a little. Pressure with the thumbs, matrimony comes when I put my hand in there.
So the first time, yes, the sonnets by Good Dog. So the first
maiden gets
okay, you can stop. The first time that we heard this, and when about putting her fist in there and some girl gets kissed in there, it was like, oh my god, what the hell are we listening to? But yes, we sold that. So that was one of our. I think that sold for $150 actually, and it was a doll.
The David Guest imagery. So
So obviously you can see Rick's acting ability just came like his Carol Channing impression. Oh my god, like it is like so dead on.
Yes.
So next on our list of things that we had was another thing that we sold, again, surprising sales that I kind of wish we still had, but I'm kind of happy when we sold it. So I went to a doll show. This was well into the, I'd say into the early 2000s. And we found what was known as a Kenner Blythe doll. And a Kenner Blythe doll, for those of you who are not sure of what that is, this is Blythe. And Blythe is a doll that has a gigantic head. It's from 1972, if you ever find one. And it has a string in the back. And when you pull the string in the back, her eyes basically change from blue facing one way to green facing another way to pink facing another way. So there's 4 different ways that her eyes click. Well, I bought this redhead, not this exact one, but this redhead. Her hair was matted, like horrible condition, really, really bad condition. It was like ratty. It needed something. The string in the back was pulled out, hanging down her back. Like it didn't work. So you couldn't change the color of her eyes. She was missing a leg. Yes, missing an actual leg. And Rick remembers, and I bought it from a doll person as well. So somebody who was a Barbie and doll seller. And because it was in such ratty shape, they sold it to me at this toy show for $10. And we put this Blythe doll up. And again, it was one of those things where we described what we thought was the heck out of it. And I started the auction at $99 because, you know, I thought that was a really good place to start. I'm going to make almost $100 on this doll I bought for $9 or $10. When it hit $300, I panicked. When it hit $600, I literally was screaming and reading the description like 18 times again, just like the Jaws poster. And I kept saying to Rick, did I say it's missing a leg? Oh my God, they didn't realize it's missing a leg. It had pictures that showed it only had one leg. And I think the title even said One-Legged Blythe. It hit $1,000 and I was in a real panic. At the end of the day, it sold for, what was the amount, Rick? I think it was close to like $1,500,
It was $1,650.
like $1,600 US, and was sold to someone in Japan. And again, we thought, here's one of those things that, oh God, this is going to be returned. There's no way on earth somebody's going to like this enough to have paid $1,600 on. Glowing positive feedback. And this was actually, and the thing about this was actually in the early 2000s. Now, to give you an idea, Blythe is still a really amazing thing to find. Here's this Blythe doll that's here, and let me see if I can find. This is actually what some of those Blythe dolls look like. There's 143 of them, 1972. You can look up Kenner Blythe. There's one in a box that sold for almost $4,000. But look at that. There's a blonde that is in just as, like, in $817. So why? It's because, again, it's this really wild doll that you pull the string on the back. And let me see what kind of pictures they put in here. So there she is. You can see the green eyes. So her hair is better than the one I had. There's pink eyes facing front, blue eyes facing the side, orange eyes facing, or brown eyes facing the one side. And her leg is almost popped off. And she's got $817. So that is one of the ones that we always say. And again, one of the things that we should have done, I talked about this on a show just recently as well, Rick, didn't I? We were at a Value Village this is before COVID hit. We were at a Value Village, and it was a Friday night. It was 5 minutes to 9. And as I was leaving, I looked in their showcase. They had a Blythe. It was priced at $275. And I said to Rick, $275? Oh my goodness. It's Value Village. We shouldn't pay that much money. Got home, looked it up. It was a brunette, and thought, I got to go back. I drove back the next morning, got to the Value Village 5 minutes after it had opened, and it had sold. So again, I would have made an extra $400 or $500 probably on that had I actually.
I should have insisted he buy it then and there.
Yeah, but we were like, $300. I don't know if I probably did charge shipping back then. Yeah, that's true.
Yes, we did. That was sent through Canada Post because we weren't using Chit Chats at that point in time, and it was sent fully insured. And the buyer paid, I think, $170 for shipping.
I don't know. Greg is talking in a language I'm not sure. So Greg's referring to Tony Fields about something, and I don't know.
Maybe the amputee?
Maybe tacky, but I don't exactly.
Amputee? Is Toby Fields an amputee?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. So not only that, we've sold big money items. Another thing we sold on there, we sold our #1 Barbie on there. We put that on auction. It was sold to somebody in New York City. We sold that for almost $3,500 US.
We drove that one across the border.
We actually drove that across the border and mailed it from across the border because we didn't want to spend the insurance on $3,500. Actually, did we do that with the #1, or didn't we fly to New York to go see some shows because we planned?
Oh no, you're right.
We actually ended up flying to New York because we knew we flew out of Buffalo to New York and dropped it off with the woman, and she was very happy. And it was like, okay,
the Solo in the Spotlight outfit that we.
Okay, so yes, we've turned this into a Tony Fields. Let's talk about Tony Fields, shall we?
Oh my. At least I knew what Greg was talking about without knowing who Tony Fields is. She might be a sports person.
Yeah, I really don't think that this is a sports person.
Football.
Go Sparts! So that was now I want to show you one more thing that's just a good before we go a little bit into which was something, again, this is something we have talked about a little bit in the past. We actually found, and these were something that we found at a church bazaar, and the church bazaar that we were at had this little like bowl, and in the bowl it was filled with a bunch of these that I got for a nickel a piece.
You're wrong, Craig. It was a bubble double plastic container. Remember they used to sell them? Double bubble gum in the plastic container?
I'm wrong?
You're
Yes.
wrong.
It was a nickel a piece, though, for the stuff that I grabbed out of here. And I grabbed it because when I bought it, one, it was a nickel. Two, it was something that I grew up with. And what is it? It was rubber finger puppets that you'd get at they're jigglers, rubber jigglers that you would get at the local grocery store in the little vending machines as a kid. So you'd actually some of these actually, you can see that's a quarter, and you would, they're literally finger puppets. So we got a batch. They're usually all sorts of warped kinds of things with like giant eyes. Let's see if I got it, how they did any other pictures of these. Like they're not well painted. You can see what they look like. That one is on a suction cup bottom. Like, look at the eyes on these. These are terrible paint jobs. They were really cheap. They were probably, actually, I think originally they probably were a nickel. And we split this up into, just as a joke, we split those up. Lisa both said, I love those. I remember those. Yes, you can still feel that rubber. And if you, those were thrown out by lots of people. But if you can still find some of these, we put these into, I think it was 5 lots, Rick, wasn't it? With all the ones we had. And we had like 3 or 4 in each lot. And unfortunately, we never thought about keeping pictures of this for posterity or for YouTube or anything like this, because this is going back. This would have been about the early 2000s, I think, maybe mid 2000s.
We were still living on Oakley, so it was pre-2000.
So it's pre-2000. So it's
98, 99.
So in the first couple of years of eBay, we put these on, and it was just like $9.99 because I thought I paid like an entire $1 for all of these things. And a couple of the lots, again, started doing that where we got $50, $60, $70, $80 bid on a lot of 2 or 3 of these things. And at the end of it, we sold one lot for like $25, one lot for like $35, one lot for like $45, and then one lot for, I think it was like $185 or $195, Rick, I think. And wasn't one other lot like over 300?
It was almost 400, yeah.
And we were just crapping ourselves again because these were.
I remember you showing them to your mom. Mom, these are worth $400.
Yeah, and she was like, "No!" And so I actually asked people about them, and the people who one went to Australia, another one went to somebody in LA. They went to 5 different people, and I tried asking the people who bid on the really high ones, "What was it that made you bid that high on this?" And both of them said, "Oh, one of the figures." And I said, "Which one of the figures?" And they said, "We'll never tell." Which was, I guess, smart from their side, because, and this is why we always say about putting things in lots, the collectors will know what it is. This is just to show you that if you would put these kind of things up right now, this lot alone went for $110. I have found, and I actually have 5 or 6 of these in one of my rooms that has to be, Lisa says she might have some around there as too. I found these in a baggie at a baggie wall. And just so you know how much some of them can go for, if I go back to just the general jiggler lots, like take a look here. So you've got individual, there's $129, $94, $70, $6 for that lot. But if I go and put in, and I take out the word finger because there are finger puppets and there's ones that aren't finger puppets. Take a look at some of these. These shiny ones. These really, really shiny rubber ones, which if you ever find these, you are in for a real treat. Again, they're really, you can see from that, they're really shiny. They're shiny, soft, almost like Jell-O. They're like so soft. This little guy here sold for almost $500. And if you look at the ones that I was about to show you, look at this. There's a dragon that almost $500 best offer. And some of the others that are in that shiny soft thing. Rustberry Jiggler Cow, 500, 500, 500. So take a shiny little turtle, 400, 400. Now, these are best offers, but you could look any of these up and see. There's a non-best offer, oily rubber, so oily jiggler. So $390 for an oily jiggler.
And those are the sorts of things that will show up on a baggy wall if they're donated.
And you know what? There's hookers who won't give you an oily jiggler for $390. It sounds like a really rude thing. Like, hey, mister, how about an oily jiggler? Would you like one of those? It's like, oh, good. Mary came in just in
another
time.
Friday night, yeah.
Just in time to hear it. It's like, Jesus Christ on a saltine cracker. So, but yeah, no. So again, I want you to keep in mind, if you see an oily jiggler, then you've got some money coming to you big time. Like here's again, there are all sorts of different shapes. And just look up oily jiggler. Just look up oily jigglers. Just don't do it in Google. I'm sure I don't really want you to know. Don't do it on YouTube. Just look up on a regular, like two-headed llama. Now you don't necessarily have to know what it is when you're selling some of this stuff again. But a comment, and again, like so, Heather, I think just bought a whole lot of calico creatures, and the calico. I know. And did you ever want to know about oily jigglers? You probably never before, but now you're like, I'm looking at. Now tell your friends, do you have any oily jigglers? And just say, no. If I saw an oily jiggler, I'd report it to the police. So Janet's always looking for oily jigglers, and she didn't even know about the toys. But this is the comment I was going to say to Heather. She just bought a whole bunch of calico critters, also known as Sylvanian families. And like we did, she doesn't know how to list them. And that's one of the things where you could look at something like that and split it up into a number of different batches, start them all at sort of like $9.95 or something like that. If there's something in there, remember, a buyer, somebody who's doing that, unless you want to do, you can do the research, because I actually have a tub of them myself that I have to research. And I've got like all that Littlest Pet Shops I showed you last week. Well, I'm not even going to research much on the Littlest Pet Shops, because the little bit of research I've done, I'm going to go down such a huge rabbit hole. So I'm actually going to take those baggy lots and open up the baggy lots and put them into smaller lots and turn it into something that's like $9.99 auctions and see where it goes from there. But that's just it. Somebody will spot something like an oily jiggler in a lot of regular jigglers, and maybe that's what we had, and I don't remember if that's what we had. Or if when I did the Lego Knights, who knew that the feather only from the hat of one of the knights was something people would pay $50 or $60 for. So think about that when you're doing that. I just don't want to go through, let's see, 13 baggies, 90 to 100 of them trying to figure out what's what. I'm not sure if I want to spend the time on it or if I just want to let somebody else buy them and take them away from us. So that's what killed him with that, because Carl has a whole bunch of them too. So, but Heather has gone down researching the calico critters and gone down a rabbit hole. So I haven't looked up to see which Don would never fit down a rabbit hole. Neither would I. So that's just some of the good that we've seen. We've sold jigglers, we've sold Barbies, we've sold Hello Dolly, and my old Jaws poster. There's a Blythe doll, lots of fun things that we've actually sold over the years. With that in line, there's also the bad. And the bad, when we think about it, there's two kind of things that actually are the bad from our standpoint. One is how poorly eBay communicates with people like us. How much they seem to care about buyers instead of sellers like us, the people who are paying for all their salaries and for the site to be up there, and the fact that collectors are the ones that originally started it, because it started from a Pez collecting thing. The first thing sold was actually a pen, I think. Wasn't it a
laser
pen?
Pointer?
Huh? A laser pointer. But the challenges that we've had over the year, we weren't happy when they took away allowing negative feedback to buyers, because we were getting there were buyers who deserve negative feedback. In a way, I kind of understand it, because they're using the whole marketing stamps of if you scare away the buyers, then the sellers don't make any money. So if you punish the buyers, they'll stop buying. It's like, yeah, but I want to punish some of those buyers. Boy, do I want to punish them. I want to give them an oily jiggler. And that's not the kind that's worth a lot of money. But we had a few issues with the feedback. Put them up. And a few issues with we've had, I think, 2 issues in all of our years. So when we talk about the fact that there's negatives, so right now we have almost 7,000 positive feedbacks. And when you look at it, that means that because it's about 30%, we've had over 25,000 transactions in all the time that we've been on eBay. So because it's like that low of a conversion rate. So we've had probably closer to 40,000 items that have sold in that time period, like very high number. And when you're looking at something like that and you go, well, we got nearly 7,000 positives and they're all individual positives because it doesn't count on any other way. You look at, we've sold thousands of dollars worth of stuff. We estimated for eBay 25th anniversary that we expected our sales were over $250,000 for the 25 years worth of sales, doing this on a part-time level. So all of those kind of things make you go, well, I guess I got to put up with the bad where with the good. And that's one of the bad things. And Carl's just commenting, would you buy in a store where they got to review you after you bought and left? That's actually the concept.
Well, it depends on the store.
Huh?
It would depend on the store and the type of people that would be excluded from that store. So yes, I would, Carl. But that's just me.
Well, Kevin says his eBay store was down since June with managed payments till this afternoon. 4 months. Well, I'm glad it's back up. And managed payments is actually good because we're now like they're good. It's a challenge to get in there. It's a challenge to figure it out. But on the standpoint of having one place instead of PayPal, so you could complain to eBay and they might side with you, and then PayPal wouldn't. We had a couple of those. Our worst ones, there's people used to buy Fiestaware and switch out good lids for cracked lids, so you had to put marks on their items. No, you can't, please, as Mary says, all the people. We had one, the 2 that stick out in my head was one was and it was cheap too. Both of them were cheap. One of them was like a $20 Barbie doll dress that we sold. And the person literally sent us back a non-Barbie dress that looked like it had been run over by a truck in the mud. It was filthy. It was ripped. It was torn. It wasn't even a Barbie dress. Then they complained about us on eBay because we basically said, you tried to swap shit out from us. And we couldn't. That was one of the first times we weren't allowed to put the negative feedback on. So we do block buyers. We say, you know what? If somebody's bought something from us and they've treated us illy, if we have somebody who we even think is in the neighborhood of being a potential issue, like 18 questions about one item, we block them. Right, huh?
I let Craig handle all of that stuff. I don't block people.
No, you tell me to block people.
I do not.
You do so. You do so.
Oh,
The worst clients buy the cheapest stuff and give the most problems.
No,
Yes.
I do not.
Yes. You
I
do so.
Yeah, I do.
Kevin's sales are down, but thank God for Depop and Poshmark. Yeah, we're not doing anything on those guys right now, but I'm glad that you had something to bring you some money, and hopefully now that fourth quarter is up, you'll do. And yeah, Mary said, if someone acts wrong, I block them too. Yeah. One which Diana's my block list is so long. Yes, it's
the one that really drove us crazy though was the buyer of the little porcelain dog.
Yeah,
it was a porcelain dog, and I had taken pictures of this. I think I took like 15 pictures. This is before you could actually use eBay to load the pictures. We actually hosted our own pictures and we loaded them as HTML into the description. And I had taken pictures of the bottom as well with all of the markings and flaws and defects. And the woman who bought it claimed that she never received it.
In less than a week.
In less than a week.
Over Christmas.
And then 2 weeks later, lo and behold, she listed the same dog.
Our dog.
Including the same flaws. It was the exact flaws. It was like writing on the bottom.
Like a serial number.
Actually, I think there was even something that had been written by whoever owned the dog before us.
Yeah, it was like Rick's dog. Oh, look, there's Rick's dog. Like,
It was what, a $20
yeah,
purchase.
$25 purchase. And she got her money back from eBay, saying that she didn't get the item. Then when we complained to eBay and said she obviously got the item, look at it's listed on hers. This is actually part of the time when we also sort of readjusted where our heads were, because we spent hours and hours and hours chasing this woman, U.S. mail, trying to file charges against her, screaming at eBay, all this sort of stuff. Like
the state attorney general for her state.
You name it. We were trying to figure out every way to, like,
how do I do this? How do I get her for mail fraud?
Oh yeah, like it was like, how do I get that oily jiggler? That's
Utter
another new term.
time.
She was like an oily jiggler, and
Complete waste of our time.
yeah, that's what we thought. And we said to eBay, look, there's a serial number and a chip on the left foot. This is the serial number and the chip on the left foot of ours. And eBay actually said to us something along the lines, well, it doesn't really matter. And we were like, how does it not matter that you've got a seller ripping people off? And the thing was, she posted the damn dog for like $42. This is like a $25 dog. She got the money back for it and then went to sell for $40. It's like drove us crazy. Those are the two worst ones that I think we had overall.
We blocked real bad.
Oh yeah, we blocked her. We blocked somebody who asked us, like Carl said, a whole bunch of questions that were like, would you take this much money for it? No. Would you do this? No. I'm real. And then if we get a story about somebody being ill in their family, and is there any way that they can actually do discounts or things like that? Nope. They get blocked. And I know Sherry made the comment, they can still buy as a guest. It's true, but I honestly don't believe it. Like, I know that there's some people who say, yeah, but they can still buy as a guest there. But I don't think anybody wants my shit bad enough that they're going to try and set up a guest profile just to buy that one thing. If they do, they do. But in the most part, I don't think people have got that much. The people who are the ones who complain, I don't think they got the brains to figure out, I'm going to buy that as a guest just to piss him off and leave a negative review. So I don't even worry about that anymore. So Mary's like, all the questions don't bother me. Stupid, rude, and unethical. Hell yeah. Certain questions do bother me, Mary.
How oily is
I do block. Well, it depends. It depends how many questions you get. Claire saying, how about the guy who gave me a nasty review after jewelry did not arrive, so I refunded him, and then it came 2 months later. Yeah, that's a challenge. True, that happens sometimes too. And now it's a little harder to try and figure out how to get that money back. That's what Lisa likes about Etsy. Guests can't leave reviews. Well, yeah, that can't they? I didn't know that. I didn't know guests couldn't leave reviews. So that's interesting, though. But we've actually sold more to guests recently, too. So if they do and they figure out that you bought it as a guest, eBay can suspend their buyer account. Sherry says, I block people, but when they ask too many items, I end the items. We've also done that, too. Mary has a poo pen. It's hard to find. It's got listed high, but I'm going to sell it to this clown for $15. It never stopped for a month. So hell no, he's blocked. Good for you. No poo for you. No poo for you. But that's some of the bad. But as I say, at the general scheme of things, 25,000 plus items that we've sold in all these years. And I know a bunch of you over here, Kennel Clubbers, etc. You guys have sold a ton of stuff too. Especially if you've been around for years and years and years. Maybe not in the past 4 months for Kevin, but other than that, you did sell tons of stuff out there. And I'm sure that you wouldn't still be with eBay if you looked and focused on that. That's why we don't focus on spending hours on it anymore. We look at different ways, like quick refunds to people, anything along those lines. Hey, Tana, thanks for popping in. Anything that just sort of takes it out, gets your head out of being, yes, I can look at a bad thing that somebody claims something went wrong with and say to Rick, but we have sent stuff that's broken. We have sent stuff that's broken in shipping. Rick's done 2 of them that you guys will famously remember. One being a set of 4 mugs, and 3 of the mug handles broke off.
Kitty cat.
And the other, luckily, being the insured Momiji store display that the head collapsed on because he didn't put the right things around it, and it ended up in Japan with a broken head. And that was a $700 item. luckily we had insurance on $500 on it. So Sherry hardly gets problems. That's great. And yeah, I'd still say I've had wonderful clients. We do have tons and tons of wonderful clients. That's the whole thing. And Kev's like, what would I do in my spare time if I didn't do this? So, so yeah, it's still a great place. Now there are some things that have happened this past week, and we actually were on with eBay Canada this week, literally like at 5 o'clock. Rick and I were both on there with a couple of other people that some of you may know. We were on there with Mandy Kennett, with Jess Oman, with Jeff Roblin, with Robert Roy. We have a monthly thing with eBay Canada with Luke to talk to him about issues that we see coming up, sort of representing the buyers as a whole out there. And we did talk about all the issues that have happened with the new challenges with categories being basically disappearing from view.
They're trimming the tree.
To trim the tree. And I'm putting this one up, which is one that I actually gave him the examples on, is we had a Build-A-Bear that we were trying to put up. And now all you can do in here is do different categories. They took everything out. It's their dolls and clothing, dolls and play sets, and took everything off of there. If you have bears and you check bears as the thing that you want to have done in there, well, what ends up happening is browse categories. I'm going to go to bears and clothing. This is all I get to choose now. I used to be able to choose a bunch more stuff, and now I'm stuck with choosing. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Now I am stuck with just choosing under bears, 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 and bears. And here's the worst thing. I'm going to choose bears. And if I go down, this is what we explained to him as you go down here. Well, the things that you want to think about, obviously, with bears is what kind of bear it might be. And it says that I need to put in these item specifics, which is, I guess if I wanted to put them in. But the type of bear I can choose is, this is it. This is all I can choose. Porcelain doll, fashion doll, troll doll. Like, some of this stuff doesn't even make any sense as to what kind of things to choose. In fact, in the types of bears, it actually told us that we could choose an alligator bear and a chipmunk bear because there wasn't any other classification other than bears for plush. It was just driving us absolutely crazy. So they know about it. It's not going to change. It is taking, as I said last week, everything up to the level that it is on Etsy. What I would do, and I still recommend, avoid as many of the item specifics as you possibly can. Try and just take a look at what you've got and see if you can do 10 or 20 or 30 items a day. Take a look at them. Make sure that they're not all stuck in bowls like what it is, like some people had with glassware. And then just go on and say, okay, well, this is how I'm going to have to fix these things. I don't know what else I'm going to have to do. I don't have to check off that it's vintage. I don't need to check off what it is. One of the other biggest challenges is things like under brand, the points underneath it. There's another big challenge we made is some people put the brand as the manufacturer. So if you happen to sell Barbies or Monster High or things like that, you can look up that Kenner doll. Some people are putting the brand as Kenner. Other people are putting the brand as Blythe. So if someone's using their phone and they can't use that tree anymore to find their way down, they actually have to look at the side, and yeah, it's not good. We asked that. They don't care. They don't seem to care. And we've talked about this with eBay at different levels over the years, because they do all this stuff in fourth quarter. And we don't understand.
We were asked for an interesting metric during the meeting with the eBay Canada dude. Basically, how many more items could you have listed if you weren't trying to deal with the changes to item specifics brought about by the category tree being hacked? Would it be 25% more listings, 50% more listings, 100% more listings? Like, how much of an impact has this category change had on the number of listings that you could actually prepare and make go live?
So I'm just curious, like we're curious here is what you guys would say is if you didn't have to worry about all these changes, would you have been able to get 10% more items listed, 20% more items listed, 30, 40? How much do you think? I know that we took an estimate and said probably about 25% more items could be listed. Depending upon how deep you go into the details, you could spend a lot more time trying to fix stuff. And if you're spending 10 minutes trying to fix every single item, that's 10 minutes less listing. And that was their goal, is to have people list. Maybe not list Sherry's pooping Michael Jackson. Again, I love it when I check the comments. I get halfway down. I go, what are people talking about? This is where I caught up. I had to go back up because I see you type in a pooping Michael MJ. And then it's like, what? What is it that we're talking about here? And then I see somebody else.
Craig, Sherry made a comment about a pooping Michael Jackson statue.
The artist had pooping Trump, Obama, and other people. I'm like, oh, I didn't understand. So I went back up. So now I understand why.
Was that in your listing title, Sherry?
Less listings. Mary says 25 to 35%. Bob says 25%. Carl says about 10%. I honestly never look at them. 25%. Well, they didn't say what not to list right now and all those. No. And that's the only thing is it's just you got. So working forward, if you're trying to get stuff listed for Q4 still, and or any new things that are going in there, then just concentrate on whatever that comes up as the required, and maybe one or two recommended. And I know that in clothing, that means you're not going to put every size piece in that you need. But just when you're revising, when you're doing new ones, figure out whatever way you want to do it. But from revisions, try to look at it that way. Diana says her store's been on vacation, so she's not listing tomorrow. So not sure, but for what I'm reading, 25 to 50 versus other sellers. Yes, it is a horrible negative. Yeah. Now the thing is, Claire says I've had a sudden surge in sales in a category that was not changed. It's very possible. Bob has over 300 required. Yeah. Mary Summer wasn't good on listing, so she's getting stuff up. And at least now we're doing the same thing. We actually had a really good weekend.
We did. We had a really good week last week.
We've had a really like since we've actually done okay in the past week and a half, knock wood. So I don't know what it is, how some people are finding our stuff. Some stuff is bizarre. Some stuff has been moved into the bowl category, as we talk about. But
back in bowl. Back in bowl.
But we don't know really what we were expecting. Oh, where'd I go? There we go. What we were expecting this to drop tremendously. We have seen people that had major drops to them too. So just keep. It's kind of like we got to use the Dory Finding Nemo thing, and just keep listing. And when you're listing, just keep on the top of it. Keep on top of whatever's there. The recommended or the required will not be required until February. So you can put stuff in, and if it says required, it will be required coming soon with all these changes to it. So hopefully go through that. Tana's got, I'm sure we have. Make sure they're all required though, Tana. Make sure they're not just recommended, because that's the thing. I will actually see if I pull something up right now. I'm going to pull.
I was a bad boy. I went through and actually filled in all of the required.
Oh, did you do that?
Without your intervention, yes.
Oh, okay. So I can't pull anything up here that shows them that we have listings that require anything in them because we don't have any required left?
Correct. We have recommended. The thing that it was in, I would say 95% of the cases.
So this is what we're saying here. We talked about this last week, is there will be a thing
type.
Under quick filters, it says item specifics required if you have required. So we don't have any required, but we have 348 that have recommended.
Yes.
So Rick has fixed all our required ones.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know, Mary. Nellie's right. 2 cups of coffee in 10 minutes each morning. That's probably the best idea. Just keep plugging out a little bit at a time. There's moments when eBay needs to understand without us they don't make money. Stop selling themselves to compete. I don't think. I wish that would happen, Mary. I don't believe any of it now. The guy who's in there now as the head, who's replaced, I don't think he's got any care about that other than selling as much as he can and making the stock price go up. I don't think anything Jordan Sweetnam says about being focused on collectors and trying to help us secondary sellers is they don't care.
Oh no, they're going to focus on the high-end categories like sneakers and
they're doing they're, and although some of that may translate over, again, think about he's the new president is from Walmart, yes, but that's just it. Walmart doesn't care about even the secondary market either, and they've actually, I think, got in trouble with some of their secondary market sellers. So it's just they're just trying to compete, and all we can do is try and see if people will still be on there. If they are going to still shop, if they're not, they're going to find other places to go, and those other places may be Etsy. But again, what I want people to remember is the Etsy folks are not like we had Lisa and I have had this discussion. Carl and I have had this discussion too. Becky and I have had the shoppers on Etsy are not the same people who shop on eBay. They're not the same people. I actually just had a chat with this the other day with Susan Spinsby. She's not on tonight, but it's the same thing. She said the shoppers that she sells to on Etsy are not the same. It's a different group of people. So as long as we're trying to make sure that we're covering off where we can possibly get something to sell, that's our goal. And it may be Facebook. It may be, if I'm selling vintage trolls, I may have to find the troll group in Facebook to sell versus trying to sell something on eBay if they can't find it anymore. So take you a little bit of time, but still remember, there's still a lot of good out there. There's a lot of good sales that can still happen. 2 weeks from now, we'll be reviewing the month of October with Becky. Next week, we're going to be back for another one of our Thrift It or Throw It showdowns, and it's our Scary October showdown where we have Becky and Carl and Michael Shane Freed all joining me next Tuesday night to see what they have under Scary Showdown. So we've given them a few categories for each one of them to have to follow. So they got to find something scary, like Halloween scary. They got to find something that they think will scare up a good price. They got to find something pumpkin spicy. And we're going to let that be their own interpretation. So we'll see what actually happens with that. But it should be another one of our fun shows. So hopefully you'll be able to stay tuned for that. If you can, those of you who are in our Facebook group, we hope to have a new woof up for the end of this week as well. And we are going to try and see if we can find a little bit more research on calico critters and Littlest Pet Shop in case people actually find those. And Robert Roy has given us a really interesting thing about retail arbitrage that we're going to actually talk about. I'll get you the criteria, Carl. You've got like a week. No, not necessarily. You showed me something that could fit, I think, some of those areas. You never know. I just got from Sherry. There we go. Here it is. Michael Jackson.
What a thriller.
I hope he doesn't beat it too. Because that would be an oily jiggler. Hey, yeah, there we go. It all comes back around to oily jigglers, doesn't it?
Oh my.
So thank you so much for joining us here on Tuesday while we celebrated our 25 years. No, that's the only jiggler again. Wait, our 25 years on eBay. Hopefully those of you who are getting close to it, stay on it and you keep selling and do good on there. And hopefully you'll have some good sales in the next little while.
Move through the changes.
Through the changes.
Platform as required.
Scream at us on our Facebook group. We'll be with you screaming at as loud as we possibly can to each other. But remember, it's still a great place to sell. You can make good money at it. And if
you put that F for fun.
Think about keep that F for fun in there for thrift, and think about looking at Etsy or Pop Shop or Depop or Mercari or just look at any of those other places as another place to diversify. Yes, that's what's like a hashtag. F first. Oh,
I'm throwing gang signs, and I'm going to.
We don't know what's going to happen. It'll be banned because of all your gang signs that you're doing. Thank you, Mary. No, we can't make any of this stuff. Thank you, Lisa. Mazel tov to you. Yay! Laughs for Kevin. That's what our goal is, to have some fun with our thrifting.
I'm going to have the rest of my banana bread.
I'm going to have what's left of my stale hot dog. So. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again soon. Well, I'm Bad Dog.
I'm good, dog. See you next Tuesday.